Welcome to Truth Seekers.
Hello, friends. Good morning, and welcome to the Seiker Podcast on Service of Change Radio, where we challenge reality, question that which we've been taught, and hope to inspire a new direction of thought to bring about change. I'm your host, Dennis Snappy II. Excited to be here once again on this Tuesday, July 21st, 2015. Looking forward to today's activities. We're celebrating my son's third birthday today. So my wife and I were up last night setting up the house with a dinosaur theme for him when he wakes up, because he's just fascinated by dinosaurs at this stage of life. Reminds me of being a kid with that curiosity that I once had, that I still have actually, and was in love with dinosaurs and everything about them. So we had some fun putting that together last night. I set up a breakfast plate with all his toy dinosaurs as if they were having a party for him, eating some of the treats and stuff that we have around the house. So I'm hoping he has that big surprised look of wonderment in the morning when he wakes up and sees the balloons and the streamers, and his dinosaur friends running around the house wreaking havoc. So it should be a nice day. Yesterday was fun. We did a little bit more work with our chicken coop, my son and I. It's fun working with him and having him help me with different things. And so we built a homemade feeder for them out of PVC pipe, so we can have more food available for them throughout the day. And it's really just a gravity-fed feeder. The pipe comes down and then extends into the coop, and you fill it up from the top. And we drilled 4 holes into the horizontal horizontal pipe that extends into the coop, which has lots of chicken poop. Obviously, I'm a poet today. And you drill little holes in it, and they eat from it. So it was a fun project with him. And then I had a neat experience. I've been where I live. It's a tough spot to have a garden, and I'm still working on, as I've spoken about in previous shows, building my own hydroponics or aquaponics system inside. I'm not sure which direction I'm going with that, but since our gardens weren't doing what I would hope they'd do, I decided that this year I'm going to learn to forage what I can that grows naturally and wildly on my property in my area. So I've been trying to identify edible plants within my local area and learn to harvest them, learn to prepare them. What are they good for? Whether it's for medicinal purposes, whether it's just for food purposes. It's been a fun learning experience, and being with the small changes theme. I'm just going with one plant at a time. So dandelion grows rampant on my property alone, let alone the surrounding community. So I've been harvesting them every week or two, and I started freezing them right now. Last harvest I dehydrated them and I ground them into a powder, and I had a full basket of dandelion leaves, and then I dehydrated them for about 24 hours. And then I ground them up into a powder. And when all was said and done, if you know your traditional pill bottles that you get your medicine in from the pharmacy when you have to buy medicine, I mean, you guys know me, I try not to, but those traditional bottles, I filled a quarter of that bottle with an entire, normal sized or giant strainer that you use, maybe a strainer pasta with. Had that thing filled to the top, and once I dried it and ground it down, it gave me a quarter size pill bottle's worth. So, obviously that stuff will be really concentrated and full of nutrients, but you don't get a lot when you dehydrate it. So I'm trying to freeze them now too. So yesterday, I got a whole bunch. My son was out there helping me. It was a really cool fatherhood experience. I showed him which plants, which leaves we were looking for in a little area I had set aside, and then him and I just sat for about a half hour and just picked them. And it was a really neat, relaxing thing with my son. I was able to explain to him what they were and how healthy they were and why we eat healthy, and how we're thankful for nature and the things that we get from it, trying to teach him that balance. And then I showed him how to wash them and clean them and prepare them and stuff. So I put some aside for the week, and I put some aside to freeze, so I'll have them, throughout the rest of the winter. So that's my goal. So then we're looking at other things as the season goes on in the summer. Blueberries, raspberries. I also harvest plantain. There's a couple other plants and weeds that I'll be looking at throughout the rest of the summer to just increase my crop yield, to save us money at the grocery store, and to help us with our overall health. And it lends me some comfort knowing that if there ever is some sort of problem in this world, we know there are many. You're seeing a lot of you're not seeing enough headlines, actually. I'm sorry, I'm out of it this morning. But my wife was telling me the other day that, and I got to find an article on this. Let me see if while I'm talking, I can multitask and talk about this. But she said that there was a drought also going on that's affecting Oregon and Washington State, and it's eventually going to result in an almond shortage. Let's see. Are we heading for an almond? Here's a whole bunch here. Let me just click on the first one that I find, dated May 5th, 2015, from independent.co.uk. It says, California drought. Almond growers fight back over reports they are causing chronic water shortages. Just type in your standard Google search, but it's talking about how basically because the water's so short, and all the irrigation that's used for different crops and that nature is causing a lot more extra problems there. And the long short of it is, the West Coast is seeing significant droughts. Wells are running dry. And it is affecting crops. And you're starting to see different types of shortages of different types of crops. That's a dangerous thing. That's a scary thing when you think about the food chain and the web of life and the interconnectivity. Once food supplies start running out in certain areas, prices are going to go up in other areas, and what's going to be the chain reaction and the ripple effect of that. So there's a lot of foods out there that we label as weeds that we simply spray, the toxic Roundup on and kill them and get rid of them. So now what we want to do is start identifying those things that are edible that maybe a lot of people don't know about, that will be available to us if certain crops, run out or there's some kind of food shortage. Not saying there's going to be, but hey, that potential exists, and I find a sense of safety and security in knowing that I can at least, provide some sort of supplement to our diet by just the everyday common things that are growing wildly in my own front yard. So good things to know with the food collection and the food shortages. So I also came across an older article today, unrelated to food prep or whatever, but I want to, where are we here? I want to talk about it for a minute because it's something that's important to me and that resonates with me, and it's from an article dated April 28th from the Washington Post by Michael Cohen, a freelance writer, and it's called How For-Profit Prisons Have Become the Biggest Lobby No One Is Talking About. And I've read a little bit about this. I've talked a little bit about this on the Changecast. This is a serious problem. Basically, big prisons, private prisons, is a business now. Now, when you think about that, is that a conflict of interest that prisons have become a business and they're lobbying for funding and they're lobbying for laws to be made? Now, think about that. A lot of people say, well, it's the law, it's the justice system. I know a lot of people that scares me. Said, well, you shouldn't break the law. And I have friends that are police officers who say, these people break the law, they deserve to go to jail. Well, what now? They got this audio playing? Come on, are you kidding me? Now they have this, sorry, as I'm looking at this website, one of those pop-up commercials comes on. I don't know if you guys heard that in the background or not, but that's annoying. So as these private prison industries, are creating these laws to get more people in jail, you got to ask yourself, does somebody deserve to be in prison because they broke a law that was really lobbied for by a private business? where do we draw the line? Where does it stop? And what this article says here is that I lost my spot now. Several industries have become notorious for the millions they spend on influencing legislation and getting friendly candidates into office, big oil, big pharma, and the gun lobby among them, but one has managed to quickly build influence with comparatively little scrutiny: private prisons. Two largest for-profit prison companies in the United States, GEO and Corrections Corporation of America, and their associates have funneled more than $10 million to candidates since 1989 and have spent nearly $25 million on lobbying efforts. Meanwhile, these private companies have seen their revenue and market share soar. They now rake in a combined $3.3 billion in annual revenue, and the private federal prison population more than doubled between 2000 and 2010, according to a report by the Justice Policy Institute. Private companies host nearly half of the nation's immigrant detainees, compared to about 25% of a decade ago, a Huffington Post report found. In total, there are now about 130 private prisons in the country with about 157,000 beds. That's a disgrace. Are people really that bad, or is this a business that's, getting money to keep people in jail? This is something we really need to think about, and this frustrates me because everybody's talking about the police state, the police takeover, and they're blaming the cops. And again, there's some reform that is needed in law enforcement. And I think this is a piece of that reform that's necessary. And I think that to our police officers out there, this is something that you need to think about. This is something that I was somewhat aware of when I was a police officer, when I realized, I'm about to make an arrest. This person may go to jail for something that I didn't think warranted sitting in a cell for. Certain things didn't make any sense to me. Certain things were, this would be better off if a person maybe had some type of counseling. This is one of the reasons I left law enforcement was, and I said this in my book, Service. Am I doing a service to my community, to society, by putting this person in jail, taking them away from their family, having them lose their job, and now their family is going to struggle? What's going to happen to this gentleman or this mother's children? Are they going to start to have problems where they act out in school? Are they going to end up failing school, dropping out of school? Are they going to end up turning to a life of crime? And you could argue that their parents shouldn't have made that decision. Well, that all depends on how you look at people and how you look at society and how we treat society. Does somebody with a drug problem deserve to be locked up and thrown in jail? Or is it a better investment for society to take that money that would normally use to incarcerate them and instead rehabilitate them and then help them become a productive member of society that then can reinvest in the community? Now, there are certain things that, yes, that person deserves to be in jail, but America has the highest population of inmates in the entire world, higher than communist China. Think about that for a minute. What is this, the land of the free? I think that might be a myth when you look at it this way. This is a real issue here, and it's something that we need to be aware of and we need to take note of. And I think what really has driven my protest, my fight, my movement of change has been when I went from police work to education, because I thought, when I was a cop, I started to wonder, I'd love to be a teacher one day, but I don't think that'll ever happen. And I remember one day I got a call to a high school, a local high school, and I walked into this school. It was a beautiful school, and I had to meet with their school resources officer. It was a Delaware State Trooper who worked out of the school. And I looked around. I remember thinking, this is amazing. This is the future right here. You have a police officer stationed in the school, and they're working with kids, and I started to envision myself flat out leaving law enforcement and becoming a teacher. And I said this in my book. My vision of teaching had me sitting in a classroom with hands raised and smiling faces and children excited to learn, because I said that's the investment in the future. This is how you stop kids from going to jail. Cut and dry, right? Seems simple. Teach them a better way of life. They don't end up committing crimes and going to jail. When I got into education, I realized, wow, the country, the nation, the state, the government is not investing in education, at least in Pennsylvania, in my personal experience. And I've been in quite a few schools now throughout the state of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Coatesville, Chester. I've been up into Hazleton. I've been to the Allentown School District. I've seen a lot of different areas across the state of Pennsylvania that are traditionally cater more to an urban population, that are more lower socioeconomic status, that I cannot speak this morning, they're considered high-need schools. And what I can tell you is that due to, No Child Left Behind, due to these Keystone standards that are now in the Common Core, education has been changed, funding has been cut to these areas, and our system of education is being watered down. What I also learned is that, they're determining the number of prison beds to build based on test scores that students achieve in 3rd grade. Instead of saying, we need to invest more money in these areas, we're going to build more prison beds because these kids aren't going to make it. The country is not investing in us and in our kids, and I talk about this until I'm blue in the face. That's where we need to refocus our efforts. These for-profit prisons, we need to get rid of them. We need to stop supporting senators and congressmen who support these lobbyists, because they're, you want to talk about a prison planet or a police state. This is the back door that we don't even seem to be realizing as our education continually gets watered down. We need to see stronger teachers unions. We need to see stronger parent teacher associations, and parent unions. You need to get out and advocate for your kids and for their education. You need to be against or do your own homework and make a decision about these Common Core and these state testings, which have destroyed education. They're cutting out the arts. These are things that we need to be focusing on. Bring back the arts, and start teaching our students all these other things that I've spoken about on our show, because it's of the utmost importance. So look at these articles. I'll post this on the the Service to Change website and the Truth Seekers website, talking about the business and the lobbying of these private prisons. But that's a big piece here, how America is being destroyed, and what you can do about it is simply, again, stop voting for these people, and stop supporting the people that give them money, and lobby for education. This might not be a quick fix, but this is this is the long term here. And start taking your time to have these discussions with your children, with your students, and let them know what's going on. And we need to start convincing our students to advocate for themselves and to fight for their own education, because it is of the utmost importance. Let our students be their own voice. I've started to empower my students over the past few years, and I've seen some great results with them. So that's about all the time that I have this morning. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen. This was a topic that was not on our normal paranormal stuff, but I think it's something that is important and warrants our investigation and attention and efforts. So thank you again for taking the time. I'd like you to take a moment, check out our servicetochange.com/bookstore, and check out our books there. All proceeds are going to go to support Service to Change and the efforts that we're putting on here. Some good things lie ahead in the future for us. And again, my book, I Am Human and We're Not Who We Think We Are, you can read it free of charge at servicetochange.com/IamHuman. I'm Dennis Nappy II. This is the Seiker Podcast on Service to Change Radio, where small changes among the masses can have a massive impact around the world. I encourage you to be that change, never stop questioning, and keep an open mind. Thank you.
Welcome to Truth Seekers.